You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and today we are ranking all of the Disney Plus MCU Marvel shows live. So, before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Now, of course, a ranking like this would not be complete if I did not have my trusty co host. We have done reactions to WandaVision, to Falcon and Winter Soldier, to Hawkeye, and to Loki together. And then we both binged What If roughly the same time this week. So, please help me welcome my co host for all things Marvel television, Miss Hannah. Hi, Anna. Hey, girl, you survived that
Oh god,
COVID.
yeah.
It's
Barely
been rough.
hanging on.
Barely hanging on. So thank you everybody who is in here. Hi, Luigi, Leo, Manda, Dominicion, Deadpool Fanatic. Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully you all have been watching along with us throughout the year as we have been reacting. It's been a fun time. So, are you ready, Hannah? Are you ready for this ranking?
Mhm.
Well, how we're gonna do it is we're basically
I
just gonna
fear we're
go.
gonna have some controversial opinions. That's why I'm
Uh
like, mm.
oh, Hannah.
No, me and you both.
Okay.
I fear even like with the way that we've like received feedback from our reactions, it's mostly been like, that's not how I feel about it. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, people
sorry.
people was feeling some type of way, particularly on our last, at least our finale for Hawkeye for sure.
Yeah.
They were feeling some type of way as we were watching the Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. And then I feel like Loki and WandaVision, the comments weren't like that, but we would just feel some kind of way and then go to Twitter, and Twitter was
Yeah.
like the complete opposite of what we felt watching the episode.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then, yes, we both had to binge What If you remember, we had planned to react to that.
Yeah.
And then neither one of us
We missed the
really
first week, and then we just were like, "Never mind."
just went downhill, which it might have been for the best doing the binge.
Mhm.
We'll talk about it. So,
I yeah.
how we're gonna do it, we're just gonna go up the ranking for each of us. We're both gonna say our top five, or our number fives, number fours, number threes, so on and so forth, and we'll discuss from there. So let's kick it off. Hannah, what do you have at number five?
Okay, so I this isn't the point in my list where I think it's controversial. I think a lot of people have "What If" at their number 5.
Okay. All right. Well, I really didn't want to put it at number five.
Is it
I
also you?
debated. I debated, but I also ended up settling for What If at number five, even though I'm rocking a What If shirt right now. I haven't gotten a chance to wear my little Party Thor shirt, so this seems like a good opportunity. Why do you have What If at last, Hannah?
Okay. So, I was actually really excited for "What If" before when we were supposed to react to it, I was really excited for it. I think that, animated, just the medium itself, it really lends itself to comic book movies, obviously, because, they're from comic books and it seems to make sense. And Spider-Verse is one of my favorite, like, comic book movies of all time. It's probably my top 3 comic movies of all time. So, it's very excited. I thought the trailers looked really cool. And then I saw everyone's reactions to it every week, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't what I expected." And especially since it, like, didn't have to worry about, like, being canon or anything. Well, it is canon, but, like, there isn't, like, no rules that it had to follow because it's "What If," you know? So that's why I was like, "Oh, yeah, this could be super cool." But binging it, I was like, there's, like, 2, maybe 3 good episodes of the show, actually. Most of the episodes are pretty forgettable, or just what we complain about with the other shows, like Hawkeye, we complain that it felt like a little rushed towards the end. But in this case, since it is like contained stories every episode, it's like rushed as hell, like everything. So you don't even get a chance to like care or like get a grasp on
Yeah.
like what's going on because by the time you do, it's over. Um, so yeah, I think that the Strange episode's really good. I think that the T'Challa episode's really good, and then I
Mm.
think the zombies episode is really good.
Actually
But
was
other
not
than
that big a
that,
fan of the T'Challa episode.
I I didn't really love the episode because I think it's a good episode. I love the episode because it was Chadwick's
Yeah,
last
I know.
performance. So
I didn't actually know that they came together. Like, I didn't
yeah,
know
me either.
it was gonna all come to head and bring the storylines to one thing at the end.
Mhm.
So that was a shock for me. I thought they were legitimately independent. Honestly, I think the big issue for me with What If, I agree with you that we didn't have a lot of like uh, with Captain Carter. If we had had a full movie with Captain Carter, it would have been cool. It would have been just like Captain America, and we would have felt it. With other ones, we end right where it's like, okay, what next then? Like you're like, okay, I want to see how it plays out. And I think part of that problem is that the scenarios were so random. Like, who cares if T'Challa would have been Star-Lord? Like, that is just so random and different. I like the idea of like, what if Ultron won? Like, those are the type of what
Yeah.
if situations I like. What if this one little thing in the universe that we already got just happened a little bit differently? But even in the what if Ultron won, it then goes down a really weird path. Like, it doesn't follow a good, like, he slices Thanos in half. Like, there's just this like really random stuff. But yeah, I think that there are some interesting things
I think the
to
idea of
come
the
out.
Watcher is really cool.
And
I
yes,
really loved all of that.
the Watcher is
But
great, and he's obviously from the comics, and it
mhm.
stays pretty close there too, where this Watcher particularly is like constantly randomly interfering, even though he's not supposed to. He's just like randomly like, let me I can't help myself. Um and that's really cool. Seeing him get shook by Ultron was fun. And then we get Gamora and they cut her episode. So she's in like the
Yeah,
end battle. And they
that's
were like,
so weird.
"Oh, you are still needed for this final battle." Even though we cut your episode out. I don't know. I just wish the scenarios were more related to what we actually got rather than just read like party Thor. Like, what if Thor was an only child? Okay, well, I mean, I guess, but that's just is a really random scenario to think about, and then to him just party it up on planets till they explode. Very strange. I will say I tweeted about it. Animated Thor, though, I was like, this is too much. Like,
I
my Chris
hate
Hemsworth
you.
love is it extends too far. This no. This is why What If got to go on the bottom. It's over here making me question things about cartoons. I was like, no, 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 this is too much. But
I
yeah,
can't speak as somebody who is an avid lover of video game characters. So,
I mean, yeah, What If played it a little safe up until the end, and even the end, like the end, played it pretty safe toward
yeah.
like comic book movie endings. Like it ended about how you knew it would. Uh, like go
I
way out
almost
there.
wish they didn't come together. Like, I almost wish we would have just gotten another, like, standalone episode for finale. Because
Yeah,
then it
I'm
felt kind
interested.
of like, to me at least, the episodes that I really liked, then it felt like, oh, they're not, a contained story anymore.
See, at least Chris Hemsworth was a lot of fun as a voice actor. He has a very fun,
Oh
expressive
man,
voice for
Sebastian
this.
Stan.
So, uh, also though, Winter Soldier was looking quite good in that. I was
Yes.
like, okay, that's the other
Sebastian
animation.
Stan just can't voice act, and that's okay.
And then some of the actors weren't even there. Like, Carol Danvers was voiced by somebody else. Peter Parker was voiced by
Yeah.
somebody else. A lot of the actors weren't even voicing their characters. I don't know. It was just, yeah. I'm interested. I mean, I understand why they're coming back for a season 2. It's a lot cheaper. I thought the animation looked cool. It was like kind of a unique,
It's
cool
inoffensive.
style. And you can literally do anything with this. So even if the first season was kind of mid, I'll still be interested because at any point it could just like pop up and be amazing. Like one of these episodes could just like blow your mind type
That
of
was the
thing. But
Strange one for me. I think the Strange one's great. I think it's easily the best out of the bunch.
yeah,
Because that was
yeah,
the one that
no.
actually made me feel something.
Yeah, and it was related a little bit more at least because it was like again if that happened, what would happen to Doctor Strange. So that felt like the ones that were related to what we got in life, maybe I don't know, but what if has a lot of potential. We'll see since they already said there will be another season, but I don't know. First season, meh, a little bit on the disappoint. Probably the most disappointing of the shows to me, honestly. All right, Hannah, what do you have at number 4?
Okay, so this is gonna make some people upset.
Oh,
Because people definitely really like the show more than both of us did. Hawkeye.
okay. Also coming in at number 4 for me is Hawkeye. Now, this is what I was talking about. I really
Mm.
wanted to put Hawkeye last. Like, I really
I was
wanted to
ready
put
to
it fifth.
just for the finale, honestly.
It was really teetering that line, but as I was watching What If, like the couple good episodes made me really want to push it to fourth. But as a whole, it just isn't as good as Hawkeye. So I objectively, I had to
I think
put
there's more good episodes of Hawkeye than there are
yes.
What If.
Overall, it's
But
better.
yeah.
But yeah, that finale I thought was a hot mess for Hawkeye. I know James is in the chat and James loved Hawkeye, but um it just I don't know. I said it in my ranking when I talked about Black Widow and where I put Black Widow in my superhero movie ranking. This really kind of fell in line with that. Is this kind of mid stuff just didn't impress me this year. I feel like there was just some other stuff that maybe it didn't land solid across the board, but if you're daring and you're trying stuff and you're doing things and you don't quite hit it out of the park, I still respect that a little bit more than just safe across the
Yeah.
board. And then in Hawkeye's case, safe across the board, but it didn't land like it should have. So when you're safe and you still fall a little bit short, yeah, I don't know. Why do you have Hawkeye down at number 4?
So I feel like I maybe would have had it in 3 above something else if I wasn't rewatching Daredevil right now. Because and I feel like okay, this rewatch of Daredevil that I've done, it truly has made me look at the rest of the Disney Plus shows in such a different light, like all of them. Even the ones that I like truly love through and through. I'm like, it's just insane the difference in the level of filmmaking and just care that's put into that show versus these shows. And it's like night and day. So Hawkeye being the one that I just most recently came off of, other than What If, while I'm watching the show, and they have a connection. That's why I'm a little more harsh on Hawkeye because it more upsets me because Netflix did the work for them and basically handed them like gold on a plate. And then Disney was like, fuck that. We're gonna do what we want to do. And then claim it's canon still. That's why I'm upset. I'm like, why are you claiming it's canon if you're just gonna do what you want to do? Like, just say that it's a reimagining. Um, but yeah, the Hawkeye. I mean, finale aside, I'll say finale aside, it still was just very middle of the road, and I think that the show probably peaked with episode 3, and I think that there's so much potential in episode 3, like moving forward. And I think maybe one of its biggest crimes is the treatment of Maya because Maya is such an interesting character. And with episode 3, I thought that we were really going to expand upon her character and really get to know her. But instead, they were like, oh no, we're going to introduce a million different plot lines and, uncover this villain, our big bad of the season, and then not give him 5 minutes of screen time with Maya and then pretend like you're supposed to care about this relationship or, know anything about it, even though we've seen 2 minutes of them on screen together. And there's supposed to be this big moment for Maya in the finale, and it's off screen. And also, like I said, we don't know anything about their relationship, so why would I
Yeah.
care? I think the Yelena stuff is really great. I think
Mhm.
Yelena's the only one that got like a full arc. Um, I mean, Clint and Kate are there. Like, it's crazy because it's like it's their show, but they're so there to me that I'm like, I think Clint had some great moments in the show for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that's really related to him himself. I think that those moments are great because we're paying homage to Natasha,
Natasha.
and, you know,
That was like
Yelena is
the
such a
the
big part of
shining
that
beacon of the
storyline.
show.
Yeah,
It was a great farewell to Natasha,
yeah,
finally.
that's probably my favorite thing about the show. So,
Yeah,
I just have
honestly, what you were
too
saying
many
with
issues.
Maya, it shows a big problem, I think, with Hawkeye at large. It's sat in a weird place where they're trying to close out like the Natasha era, the Clint, at least Infinity era, the Ronin stuff, while they introduced Maya. And at the end of the day, it felt like they introduced her just to get ready for her show. Like, they tried to make her have an actual plot line in this, but if you took Maya out of this, it would make almost zero difference to what's actually happening because she doesn't really do anything at the end of the day. And the second half of this season, I mean, she is heavily sidelined because she's getting her own show. So they're like, okay, we can deal with you later. Yelena was great. I do think she and Kate, honestly, I was like, can we just go off with them? Like, can we just
Even
have
I don't even like walking away from the show, I don't even like Kate.
Yeah, she was
Truly,
alright.
like, leaving the show, like, when I'm watching the episodes, yeah, it was fun, whatever, but, like, distancing myself from the show, I'm like, "Did I like Kate? Did I care about Kate? No, not really. Not at all, actually." I
Well,
could've cared fuck all what happened to
she was
her in the
fun. See, and
finale.
that's the thing, is she was fun, but she also doesn't go on much of an arc. Like, she pretty much
No.
stays the same throughout the series, except she throws her mom into jail. I don't know, she's like she kinda stays a spoiled girl, and that's not all that relatable to most of us. So you're kinda like, "Okay, she's kinda fun, she's kinda funny."
And
The
she's not
action
even,
is
like,
ugh,
you know, we have Tony Stark, who is kind of the same deal a little bit, but even then, I'm like, "You're not Robert Downey Jr." You don't have the charm that Robert Downey Jr. has,
yeah.
unfortunately. Haley Steinfeld, I'm sure you're great,
And I
and you
think
are
she
good in the
suffered too.
show,
So I
but
think she shined in the first half because she was paired with Clint, who
yeah.
who's kinda just there to prop other people up. I mean, even in this show called Hawkeye, Clint just was there propping the rest of them up. But once we got Maya, once we got Yelena, Kate really stopped shining. Like, they snatched that shine right up off of her because they were just so charismatic and good. And then the action in the show, and that's the other thing. If you're gonna have an action heavy, basic kind of,
And
you
this is
know,
the most action that we've
show,
had in any of these shows.
it
So
has to
if
be
you're
good.
going to do
There was
that, it
like
has to
two
be
good action
excellent.
set pieces. The car set, awesome. That one
Yeah.
around as we were doing the oneer was awesome and easily the best like action set piece of the whole season. It was great. But all of the other hand to hand stuff, we thought early on it was because Jeremy was getting a little old, so they had to like sneak cut none of, but even when it came down
Even
to
with
Kate and
yeah,
Yelena, all of them, they really chopped
it's
that up.
the choreo and the editing, they're both bad. I thought because I said it in the reactions, I was like, "Oh, you can tell it's, like, shot well, it's just
Yeah.
edited poorly." But then as the series went on, I was like, "Oh, no, the choreography is just bad." Um,
Yeah.
so that's
Lucky's
a little
great.
frustrating. Yeah, Lucky's so cute, and going back to I'm rewatching Daredevil, like, that's a lot to, like, compare, and I feel like it's okay to compare them because they're
He's
connected, and
Kingpin.
now they're both canon, so I'm like, "You
I will say,
gotta
I haven't
do
watched,
something."
most of Daredevil still, but if they keep the theory is Kingpin is not dead. He's gonna live, he's gonna just be blind or whatever,
Mhm.
but I liked super strong Kingpin. I know Tyler was kinda
Yeah,
making fun of how much they souped him up, but I liked Kingpin.
that's not the part that I,
The
like,
action
minded at
stuff they
all.
did with him was actually pretty fun. That was some of the
Mhm.
better, more fun action, him flinging little Kate around. him getting hit by a car and just getting back up. But yeah, I don't know. Hawkeye was okay. It was just okay. Like it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but that finale really kind of left like a blech taste in my mouth. If it had stuck that finale, maybe it could have even jumped up a spot. But the
We went
finale
into the
really,
finale excited.
yeah,
Both
we
of us did.
were. It's just too much, and that'll be a running theme. Is these series, by and large, all of them, except one, which we'll talk about, have really stuffed a lot into their plots. They just keep adding characters, and Hawkeye was the latest example of them just adding way too much. To then we get to the finale, and it's impossible, pretty much, to find a way to like piece it all together in a way that makes sense, in a way that completes things and allows you to set up for the rest. It was just they bit off too much. So, all right, we've been in agreement so far. Let's see how much longer this
We're
continues.
gonna disagree here.
Oh,
This is our disagreeing moment. I know it for sure.
oh, Jesus. Okay, Hannah, what do you have at number 3?
Okay, so don't kill me, please don't.
Uh-oh.
I have WandaVision at number
What?
3. And there's a lot of factors that went into making this decision.
Oh my God, Manda is loving you right now, Hannah. Manda, wherever you are celebrating.
I have good reason, okay? Falcon Winter Soldier was a mess, okay?
Okay, well, let me just get that out of the way. My number 3 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay.
It was a mess, but coming down to it, the show that's my number 2, I think that it was less offensive than some of the stuff that that my show at number 2 did. At the end of the day, I was more disappointed watching my number 2 than I was with Falcon Winter Soldier because Falcon Winter Soldier had so little stakes. And I still think that Falcon Winter Soldier has the best episode of any Disney Plus show in its season. I think I've been saying ever since we watched that first episode of Falcon Winter Soldier, I was like, this is an excellent episode. And I still believe that is the best episode that's come out of Disney Plus MCU. So that's
I should have known. It was that damn Evan Peters bumped WandaVision down to number 3.
Listen, no. Evan Peters was definitely a huge thing in WandaVision that disappointed me. But at the end of the day, that finale is still very offensive to me, even with its last 10 minutes. At least Falcon Winter Soldier didn't set these huge things up. Like, we knew going into the finale what we were getting, and that's exactly what we got. So that's why I had to make this decision.
Okay, so for me, Falcon and Winter Soldier coming in at number 3. It was also fighting an uphill battle because it's in that Hawkeye realm, and I've always been this way. If you have listened to my channel for any amount of time, I've always been somebody. I like my superheroes super, and it's just how I am. It's how I'm built. I particularly love the electricity people: Storm, Thor, Pikachu. If they control lightning, apparently I'm on board. So
Electro's Larry's favorite Spider-Man villain.
So I'm usually more on the far side of like superpowers and the more grounded heroes. Oftentimes I'm like, that's fine, that's cool, whatever. But make it interesting, I guess. And so they're always at a little bit of a disadvantage for me. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think, did exactly what Hawkeye did too, and they just kept on stuffing stuff in over like. We both were a couple of the only people who actually really enjoyed the season premiere of Falcon and Winter Soldier because it was grounded. It was all about characters, particularly Bucky in episode 1. They really focused on Bucky, but I mean, they did a great job of diving into his diving into where he was mentally and dealing with those traumas. And they start to do that with Sam as well throughout the series, and both of them, I do think that's what puts it above something like Hawkeye, is that they both develop throughout. They both have an arc that works. It's just everything around them that I just didn't like. So I liked the Falcon and Winter Soldier stuff now, but Flag Smashers were I know they had to rework it because of COVID, whatever. They didn't rework it well. I mean, it was a hot mess. The stuff with Zemo started fun and then just did
Yeah.
nothing with it at all. Stuff with Wakanda too, like them bringing it in, it had a great that Dora Milaje battle
Was a
was
great, like,
amazing.
end stinger to that episode, and
Oh,
that
but
Dora,
then, they
fight
just
was
kind of
so
leave.
good.
They take Zemo and head on out. And then we get the stupid Sharon thing, which everybody in the universe called episode. The moment she was introduced, we were like, "Girl, we already know." We already know, girl. So them trying to like play it like this huge reveal in episode 6 was like, okay, whatever. We got you, Sharon. Nobody even wanted you here. And then finally, probably what could have been the most interesting villain would have been what's his name? Russell.
Oh,
Wyatt Russell's
Wyatt
character.
Russell.
And that could have
Whatever his
been
name was.
interesting, but then instead they take him from like interesting villainous thing to like redemption arc that I was like,
Yeah.
I don't need him redeemed. I'm sorry. Like if you were gonna redeem someone, I actually would have rather you redeemed Homegirl from the Flag Smashers because at least her objective was moral. Her everything else she was doing was not very moral, but her objective was. He was a hot ass mess that now we were like, oh, he's come to save the day. And I was like,
Yeah,
no,
that
girl,
was
we
so
good.
weird.
But the stuff with Isaiah was great. The race stuff went up and down for me personally on whether it was handled well and then whether it was handled a little bit wobbly. And that was kind of the whole series. It was like we'd get something great and then we'd get something where I was like, oh, that was not good. That was not great. And that's why, I don't know, Falcon and Winter Soldier was just such an uneven viewing experience, literally every single episode. And the finale I mostly thought was okay. I liked the Captain America suit reveal. And I liked where they end up and the
US
fact that,
agent. That's
US agent, thank you. Yeah. And
He
they
had
didn't
an
have
actual name. I just can't remember it.
and they didn't have Bucky end up with Sharon. Woo woo! Thank God. That would have tanked it to last place.
Oh yeah.
We got our little romance moments. We just wanted it to be canon. Bucky, you are bisexual. We just need you to realize it's been evident to the rest of the world from the moment we saw you on screen, homie, like a decade ago. But it's evident for sure.
Nothing heterosexual about Bucky and Cap's relationship.
Oh no.
And Sam's relationship. Who like
the way they was rolling in the grass.
Just roll in the grass like that, like touch each other's like thighs and like look into each other's eyes lovingly like that. Like that was very fruity. Very fruity.
Okay, so now I've explained mine a little bit more. You explained a little bit. Do you have more to add on why WandaVision is at number 3 for you?
I just think that WandaVision, I know a lot of people are always like, oh, but you have to take in your own expectations and that's kind of your fault. And I'm like, but is it my expectations if the cast is trolling us saying, oh, there's so much there's like cameos that come under that. Not saying that would have made the show better, but you're just like, you're upping my expectations. And when I watch the episode and it's this random ass chick that comes out as this person that they've been like building up to for episodes, I'm like, is that my fault? Really? I'm not saying that a cameo would have made the show better, but it's not my fault that when I watch the episode, I'm disappointed and I, have that emotion attached to that episode now. And then also, I'm rewatching the show. I do think that all the Monica stuff. I love Monica, but it does feel like the show's like, okay, we get it, you guys. We have like a younger audience. We need to hold their hand and explain everything to them now. That 4th episode, I think the snap stuff is really cool in the opening, but that episode really is just say, hey, we're gonna hold your hand now and explain to you what's happening because we can't let you guys sit in suspense any longer. So I'm like, that kind of like shuts down the whole, mystery thing for me about 4 episodes in, which is, less than half of the series. So that's a little problematic to me. And then, of course, when we get to episode 5, all momentum is fucking killed with that Quicksilver stuff. So And that is also not my own expectations being ruined. That is the show telling me that no, this is you could have cast anyone in that role. You didn't have to cast Evan Peters. And I understand that, you wanted to send the internet in a frenzy and you fucking did. You did. But
They did.
even then, they could have kept it that he isn't from X-Men and still did something interesting with him. They could have, but they didn't. They made it a joke, a boner joke. And that's where I draw the line. Nothing in Falcon Winter Soldier was that offensive to me. Nothing.
Okay, if they hadn't have named him Ralph Boner, I honestly would not have had a problem with Evan Peters being a nobody person. If that was the only part that for me was terrible, was his name. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, we wanted it, but I was cool with him. I mean, Marvel does have a problem wasting actors. We talk about this ad nauseum, which right now I'm looking real suspect. Did we just waste Vera Farmiga too? Like, is she being added?
Did.
Are we adding another legend? Like this year, did we waste Evan Peters? We wasted Vera Farmiga. We wasted Rachel Weisz. Like, I mean, they racked up the wasted potential actors just in 2021. But
literally,
it's bad, y'all. They need to stop just putting in great actors for nothing. But yeah, if it wasn't for Ralph Boner, I would have been fine with Evan. Just mostly, y'all need to go back and watch that damn episode of our reaction. Me and Dwayne could not contain ourselves because Hannah literally smoked.
Oh, okay, you're talking about that. I thought you were talking about the finale. Oh my god, yeah, no.
No, I was talking about that first time it was revealed with Agatha.
Yep.
Because Hannah was holding out hope. She's like, okay, no, there's like they're messing around. But when they showed her,
in my mind, I'm like, okay, if he's not Quicksilver, then what are you doing with Evan Peters? Because Evan Peters is too big of a talent for you to waste like this.
And then when she saw it, there were literal fumes coming out the top of Hannah. She was trying so hard to keep it inside. It was pretty equivalent to what you just watched with our Hawkeye reaction last week, where as soon as Fisk got shot, Hannah went silent because if anything was coming out her mouth, it was about to be Fury. So maybe I just lived for the action, and so I just lived for because we had been teasing Hannah this whole time about Evan Peters being a nobody, and then it happened, and she was fuming.
And listen, guys, I haven't lost sense. So I just
unless Marvel throws the ultimate curveball on that ass, and they legitimately just killed Kingpin, and we're like, F that comic book story.
We won't know until this summer if I've taken a loss that big.
That'll be we'll all be shocked. Let's be real. If they,
I'm not even talking about Kingpin. I'm talking about Matt himself. He's going to be in She-Hulk, right? And
we already know it's about to be an Allen.
Yeah. If they do character assassination, that is truly a wrap on me in the MCU. I said it on the live show this week. Daredevil is sacred content to me. So if we get to She-Hulk and they blind jokes, basically it's like it's gonna be blind jokes, like the entire time, and I'm gonna be like, okay, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So we'll see if I truly lost in the summertime. But
okay, so
what is Leo talking about? Hannah was just talking up WandaVision, now bumping it down to 3. What are you talking about?
Leo just want to stir up the drama with that little eye. Well, let's talk about it then. Okay, so presumably I know what your number 2 is. What is your number 2?
My number 2 is Falcon Winter Soldier.
Okay, and the quick reveal, we do have the same number 1. It was close for me. There was a moment there in the fall where I wanted to swap my number 1 and number 2, but I couldn't do it. So at number 2, I have WandaVision. So Why is Falcon and Winter Soldier your number 2 for the year?
Okay, Falcon Winter Soldier, I think, like I said before, it just had less things that offended me than WandaVision. I think that Falcon Winter Soldier, while kind of being middling, um, for most of its season, I think that its high moments are, like, actually just that good, that I am willing to look past the flag smashers and just being a hot ass mess most of the time. I like I said, I love that first episode so much, and I do think that finale is great. I think the Isaiah Bradley stuff
Amazing.
in every moment that he showed up in the show
Yeah.
is just so excellent.
It's actually
We
probably the deepest stuff,
Yeah.
like, on a real world level of any of the shows this year.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I'm like, I that to me, that's the closest I've felt to feeling like we broke kind of, surface level in the MCU because, like, the MCU tries to appeal to everybody, so actually talking about topics that can be a little, button pushing for people is it just says a lot to me that, even if we are starting off on Disney Plus, then hopefully we have the opportunity to go forward in the movies too and break these boundaries and, have a voice and say something that's just not that's more than like, "Oh, come to the movies, have a good time, like, we're gonna fight Thanos." So, yeah, that's really why I think that Falcon Winter Soldier is my number 2 because I just think that it's probably the riskiest of the shows, even with being a little middling of the road, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Alright. Well, for me, number 2, I have WandaVision, and the reason it was so close to being my number 1 is honestly, I mean, it feels weird to, like, have nostalgia for something that was just earlier this year, but honestly, out of all of the shows, not even just Disney Plus, like, any show I've watched this year, WandaVision was the biggest, like, event of the year, like, uh, every single week, that was all I could think. Like, I was just hyped for WandaVision each and every week. It was like back to viewing appointment type of experience, which we don't
Yeah.
really get anymore, like with anything. Maybe like Mayor of Easttown kind of had that going on this year as well. But the last time
Probably
I
the
personally,
closest we've gotten
yeah,
this
was
year,
like
Mare of Easttown.
yeah, it was like Game of Thrones in its peak, like season 7, season 8,
Mhm.
like when everybody was just ablaze and talking about it for the full week. And WandaVision was that, which ultimately I think did end up hurting it in the end because we all were running rampant with theories, with every little detail. We had that week where we were just studying it like frame by frame.
Yeah.
Which, but I do agree. The cast specifically continuing to come out and say, "Oh, what this is coming? Oh, we got this," was more of a detriment than anything else the show could have done. Was letting the cast continue to do these interviews where they teased things that were nothing, quite literally nothing. No, they just Paul Bettany talking about his damn self. Like, what is going
A
on?
menace to society.
But as a whole,
I have
also,
issue with the MCU formula. Listen, I am not fully against the MCU formula because it definitely works, but I'm against the MCU formula when the content isn't spectacular. Like, Shang-Chi is my favorite movie of the year, not even just my favorite MCU movie of the year, right? And that
yeah,
follows the MCU formula to a fucking T, right?
Dwayne
But it's
specifically goes
spectacular.
in on that formula. He
Yeah,
the one that leads the charge on the formula.
yeah.
I'm mostly okay with it, but I definitely am someone who likes it when we break
And
free,
even then,
obviously.
Leo, don't start because WandaVision ended with the MCU formula. Don't start. Literally, WandaVision broke that formula for 3 episodes. And then, like I said, that 4th episode comes in, breaks every bit of tension that we had, and says, "Okay, we're gonna hold your hand now."
You see?
Don't
Ooh,
start.
ooh. Well, I think
Mm-mm.
that's what I liked. I liked the mystery. It definitely set up like the fun mystery off the bat. I like the different tone we at least start with. And emotionally, it hits harder than anything else this season. Like at its
Oh, yeah.
core, the emotions of this season. Like we were talking, even with Monica, we don't know her
Mhm.
that well, and we felt with her when she found out about losing her mom, when she was going through it. That was one of those episodes where we were shook because me, you, and Dwayne loved episode 8 of WandaVision, which was
Yeah.
just her going through, and yes, it was Agatha basically just like
That's my favorite
Christmas
episode of the show, I think.
Christmas caroling her through, like a ghost of Christmas past Wanda through her life. But it was so good. Like it added so much dimension to the story, to Wanda herself. Yeah, I loved that episode. And it was one of those like ball your eyes out episodes. And I think honestly it was just Film Twitter who didn't like it because if I recall, that was our highest watched reaction of
It is.
any of the shows. Was episode 8 of WandaVision of any of the Marvel shows. So I just think Film Twitter is cynical and it was an emotional episode, so they didn't like it or something.
I just think that people
Because
were
I
ready
think
for answers that
everybody
episode,
liked
and
it.
it kind
Yeah.
of felt like a, "Oh my god, hi Kenzie." Um,
Hi, Kenzie. And
Kenzie
then the
hasn't watched a
finale.
single one of these shows, but she's here for moral support.
So I agree with people to an extent that the finale, the problem with the finale, one, it goes into being bang boom territory. It goes into big set piece out of the, and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't what we were loving about the show. So to go into big action set piece was a little bit like jarring. But the other problem was it is hard when there's not like a clear consequence to the action. Hayward was no hero. He was literally trying to shoot children. So you people who still think he's a hero, no. He didn't know what them children were, what was the deal. No, he was trying to shoot some children. He was also trying to create a secret weapon with the Vision. No, no, no. He was no hero, y'all. Wanda also
I still
is
do take issue with Wanda having virtually
yes,
no consequences,
but that's the
even though
thing
I
is
love Wanda, right?
no,
But
she needed a consequence, and I think I do agree with people there, and to a point, you're like, "Well, what the hell are they gonna do? They can try to impose a consequence on her, but what the hell are they gonna do?" I mean,
but
when
that's
you
the
watch
thing
a woman
though.
do that, it's kinda like, try and find
No,
out,
it's not Evan Peters.
but but
Um,
is this ever but, oh, I think we can all agree, including Hannah, who bawled her eyes out
Listen, that is the
that
hardest I've
moment.
cried watching anything this year. If
Oof.
WandaVision kept that level of emotion and just like, just quality for the entirety of its finale, 100% it would be my number 2.
It's just
100%.
yeah, that I mean, that's what I'm saying is that moment, episode 8, the stuff with Monica,
Bye,
there's a
Kenzie,
lot
love
in
you.
here. Emotion The emotional impacts of this series just hit harder than any of the rest for me. And if you've listened to me recently, I don't know, if you can get me on that emotional level, you stick with my heart. And they left me on that emotional level. They had that goodbye between her and Vision, which was just like, what the hell? Like, this is too much. And of course, it set up the multiverse. And I think that's also what I appreciated for WandaVision is it did set things up for the future, like the multiverse, like Monica and Agatha's getting her own show, whatever. Also, we got the best song of the year there, but it didn't. I think it did so in a better way than a lot of these other things. It was mostly self-contained. It was mostly just this story, and then at the end, there's room to like breathe out, moving forward. So, all right. Well, those were our two differences. Looks like we're back to agreement with number one. So, Hannah,
A lot of
what
people are
is
gonna
your
be mad
number
at us about
one?
it too. Loki!
And Loki is also my number one. A. um. Yeah. The reason Loki stayed number one for me is just looking at the quality of the series from start to finish. I just think it was rock solid. I really don't think there was people took issue with I think episode 2 or 3, maybe both of them, and we loved them.
Episode 3 in particular, I remember people were like, because that's when they're on that
The
planet.
self-cessed
Oh yeah.
that bullshit.
Listen, we need to clear something up. So there is no moral implications about eating yourself because it is physically impossible. So there is no way for there to be moral implications in that. And also, the show, even then, the show acknowledges many times that it's weird. Many times that it's weird. I mean, literally, Owen Wilson's entire being is to talk to Loki about how it's fucking weird. So let's not pretend like the show isn't aware
It
that
just
Loki falling in love with himself essentially
let
is
me just tell y'all, if in a different universe, if
a
I
Loki
crossed
thing to do
over
and it's weird, yes.
and me from Universe X look like Tom Holland, I'm gonna be doing some self-cess. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be like, oh, let me see what we can do here. I don't care about this internet, whatever. No, this is not like no licorice pizza, y'all. Like, please, when we talk about age gaps, and people get so mad whenever the word age gap is brought up. Sometimes it is useless, like when y'all tried it with Zendaya and Washington.
Washington.
But
Two
other times,
fully grown adults.
yeah, adults. But other times, like licorice pizza, y'all need to stop and listen. Like, people aren't just saying age gap with the 15 and the 25, possibly 28-year-old. No, self-cessed is literally a made-up thing. Like, it is literally impossible. It cannot happen. And like Hannah said, there is no moral standard. There's no moral repercussion in our world for that. So they need to just chill. But yeah, Loki for me, every episode was good, at least. And I actually think almost all of them were pretty great. It had the entertainment value. I thought we didn't have a lot of hand-to-hand combat action, so they were able to do different things and it looked great. I thought the CGI effects were wonderful. The various Lokis we got in episode 5, amazing. Put
I think
Richard
the
E.
filmmaking
Grant.
itself is definitely at its best
Oh
in
my
Loki.
God. The original score put everything else to shame.
Oh my God.
No other
Literally,
music
if there's one thing that
touched
we
it.
talked about the most during our reactions, it was that score. It's so fantastic. It's
Honestly,
probably my like favorite score of the year, period.
it
Like
was
not
so
even
damn
just
good.
like MCU
Yeah.
stuff. Just my
No.
favorite.
That score was fire, like so good. Loki's journey in the show was amazing. Like, if we want to talk about characters who go and evolve, none of them touch Loki's journey. Sylvie goes on a journey, and hers, and I actually love that we have both of them because they show the juxtaposition. They were growing together, but they're like the perfect juxtaposition of that final choice of your journey. And I thought it worked really well in context. The payoff to this was by far the best payoff. It was maybe the only truly good payoff of the MCU series. They all had these little who is, what is kind of things. Loki's was the one that paid off. And I mean, how can you not put it number one when it was a finale that was pretty much 50 minutes of talking and we were all begging for more. We wanted this to go on another hour.
And I know a lot of people took issue with that because they're like, oh, it's exposition for, you know, blank amount of minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, exposition isn't all bad. I feel like too many people equate exposition with being bad. But if it's well written and well performed, I don't give a fuck if it's exposition. I was hanging on to every word Jonathan Majors said because it was so well written and so well performed. Like, Jonathan Majors absolutely secured his guest star Emmy next year. There's no way that he won't.
And once again, I agree, Tyler. We needed 2 Spider-Man in particular could have done some self-cess, and I would have been just fine.
Oh my God.
But no, and that was what was so great here too, is like I just talked about with WandaVision. I think they didn't Loki was the only series that didn't try to add too much. They didn't continue to add characters. They didn't continue to add all of these things. They stuck to the main storyline the whole time. It followed Loki. It followed Sylvie. She was kind of like something they introduced. They kind of introduced like a thing here or there, but it wasn't, we didn't have like 7 villains in the finale that we had to defeat. We didn't have all these big things. And it organically opens up. Like, there was one thing that leads into the rest. And it just happened with the story that was being told. And I think that's what really sets Loki apart, is that it just focused. It was way more focused than any of the rest and was able to execute that vision for me.
Well, Leo, actually, with what you're saying, most of the people that I've seen, like, their complaints with No Way Home is that a lot of things don't make sense in the end because of how little we touch on the rules and stuff like that. So there's your take on that. Most of the complaints I've seen is because people are like, "Oh, that doesn't really make a lot of sense."
Yeah.
And that's because we didn't set up really any rules for the multiverse and No Way Home.
Yeah.
And because we didn't have time for that, and that's fine. And I don't hold it against the movie personally, but the things that I've seen people complain about mostly about No Way Home is that. So
Tyrone, gotta give you a shout out. You've been here with us through most all of these series in the comment section. So thank you for supporting us all this year, Tyrone. And we got another WandaVision lover up in here with WandaVision at number 1. But
WandaVision being my 3 is not me saying that I didn't enjoy the show. Because I very much enjoy the show. I think the show is very good. But when it comes down to it, half of the season isn't great.
I honestly think we talked about this, I think, with Dwayne. If they had been able to keep Falcon and Winter Soldier first and then released WandaVision, I do think Falcon and Winter Soldier would have played a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just because it did feel like a little bit of a come down off of something more exciting. So I do think that kind of clouded a lot of us right off the bat.
I think WandaVision would have played better as the second one too, though.
And that was their
I feel like
original
hype
plan,
would have
so
been
probably
calmed a little bit more. And
Yeah,
Falcon and Soldier definitely would have tempered people's expectations.
And I need to just call him out. He's over here doing all this, but Leo, because we be talking about this, talk about people who was investigating every goddamn frame that was just going wild. I don't know if anybody was more wild than Leo during WandaVision. I mean, prediction videos and live streams were flying. He was out there. That's when we first saw Leo spoiling himself on things this year because he was scouring the internet for any and every little detail he could pick up. We're like, Leo, chill. You gonna spoil it for everybody. but this coming year,
I do want to say, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I do want to say, since it is canon now, officially canon, Daredevil is like head and shoulders above everything that we talked about today. I'm just saying, Daredevil's here, everything else is like here and done. Even Loki. I love Loki, but it just like I said, it's on a filmmaking level alone.
What did we watch? We were talking about something that was kind of just a miserable movie. And she was like, there are just miserable people out there. Like, there's a whole group that just love that Daredevil show, and that show is void of any sort of joy. It's just misery for years.
It is.
And I was like, oh, damn.
Listen.
She said that there are people who love that Daredevil, and there is just misery.
Larry hasn't seen season 3 of Daredevil, but I am rewatching season 3 of Daredevil right now, and literally, it's just sad the entire time. Like, Matt is on the brink of death for all of it, and it's just everyone's sulking around the entire fucking time, and I love it, and I'll eat it up. It's fantastic. So,
but next year, what do we have? We have She-Hulk.
Moon Knight. I think Echo's supposed to be next year.
Is it? Okay.
There's another one.
Miss
Marvel, yeah. I think those are the 4.
What's your ranking of those 4 in terms of excitement?
Okay, well, since I found out that Matt is going to be in She-Hulk, She-Hulk's my number 1. I'm a whore for Matt Murdock first, so sorry. She-Hulk number 1, Moon Knight number 2, Echo number 3 because Matt is also going to be in that. Miss Marvel number 4.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Moon Knight. I'm an Oscar
I've heard about Miss Marvel concerns me. So yeah.
Moon Knight's my number 1. I'm an Oscar Isaac simp. I'm gonna be there with bells on my shoes.
Larry is an Oscar
Isaac
whore first. So.
And then actually She-Hulk, because I like She-Hulk's character. I've always thought she's the more interesting version of the Hulk premise. Whoop, kill me.
But
and they tried to do the whole Professor Hulk thing, which is kind of why She-Hulk is so good. But I hope they can do it well with her. I hope
We're gonna
She-Hulk kills
get
it.
a green muscular woman as a supermodel. Like, how can
Yes.
I not love that? Actually, I know you just said that Matt might also be in Moon Knight. I don't think that he will be, but I wouldn't count out a Blade appearance in Moon Knight. I fully believe
Maybe
that Blade
Kit?
could show up in Moon Knight. Who?
Kit? Could he
Oh,
maybe?
yeah, I mean, the supernatural side of the MCU is opening up, and I think that, Moon Knight is gonna kickstart that, so I wouldn't put, like I'd put money down on, like, Kit or Blade showing up.
Ooh. Oh, okay. So yeah, I have She-Hulk at number 2, Moon Knight number 1. I
And
would
I don't wanna talk about it.
probably say, yeah, probably. Oh, I'll go Ms. Marvel number 3 and then Echo number 4. They're real close. I have reservations about both of them. The
Yeah.
Hawkeye thought they were setting me up to be hyped, but that finale kind of dampened my hope for the Echo series. That Hawkeye finale made me be a little bit wishy-washy.
I
But we'll see. I'm
I
still
have better
excited.
feelings towards Echo because I just found out that, somebody from Daredevil season 3 is working on Echo, and also somebody from Better Call Saul, so that's really exciting to me because both of those shows are excellent, but yeah.
Tyrone ain't having it with your Daredevil love, Hannah. I'm
I'm
sorry.
so sorry.
um, so
I
I haven't really discussed this with Hannah, and he also wants to know when we're gonna do Arcane reactions.
I've heard so
Um,
much excellent stuff about Arcane, and I haven't started it yet.
I have just heard everything great about Arcane too. I had planned to maybe start it in the new year and maybe do reactions. I have to say though, Tyrone, I've been doing our Netflix series recently, and one episode does okay, and then after that first episode, they bomb. So I'm a little bit hesitant to be doing reactions to these Netflix series because they don't do so good. The movies too. Like I'm like, what's going on? People don't care about no Netflix stuff, so makes me a little bit
I'm
hesitant towards Arcane.
Why would we? Genuinely. What's, like, the last, like
Oh,
okay, I haven't seen Arcane, but before that, what was the last great original Netflix thing?
that goddamn Squid Game that everybody
Even then, I'm like,
loved.
I don't
I mean,
think
I didn't
that's
watch it, but it got the hype.
it got the hype for sure, but I don't think that's, like, fully excellent. I think that there's definitely excellent episodes, but the series
Ooh.
as a whole,
Hannah!
not great.
I mean, I didn't watch, so I can't talk, but I have heard, and people who know me have
Me and
kind of been
Leo
like,
agree on
"You
one
should
thing,
watch
and that's Daredevil.
you should watch Arcane." So I've definitely been I don't know much about what is it, League of Legends is what it's based off of. I don't really
I
know
have
much
no
about
idea. I
that.
know that Haley Steinfeld is
She's
voicing
a
the main character.
voice,
Yeah, that's
and
about
so
the extent of my knowledge of it, so
yeah. I don't know. I am excited for it, but yes, maybe now we can restart Daredevil
we have to restart Daredevil.
now that he
Guys,
is officially in the MCU.
Larry would
Um,
live for Elektra, and we're so close to getting to her, and I need to see his reactions.
it's also been well over a month since we've done a Game of Thrones reaction. Listen, it's not my fault that like all of these things just dropped at once, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And it just turned into a
Keeping up with the
disaster.
Disney Plus stuff is, like,
But
a
they're all
lot,
over.
so
They're all over right now. So I'm like, okay, now I have a little bit of space. We can do some more Game of Thrones. We can get back in because we were finally getting to like the better part of season 5. Season 5 moves a little bit slow, but we were getting to the goods of season 5. So we're definitely gonna start that. And then yes, Daredevil, now that he's officially there, I guess.
let me make a list real quick. I'll rank them among
Amar,
the Disney Plus
I'm a
stuff. Hold
fake
on.
fan, Amar. I have not watched any of them. I've watched 7 episodes of Daredevil. You can watch me watch it here on the channel with Hannah and Tyler. I've seen the first 7 episodes of season 1, and that's it. No Jessica Jones. I don't think I'm interested in no Iron Fist, and I have not watched the Mike Coulter, Luke Cage either, or the Defenders, which I heard was terrible. So I'm not too pressed on watching a lot of that.
Okay.
Daredevil's the only one I was really considering.
Okay, I have my list. Oh, wait, no, just kidding. Keep on talking. I have to insert the other ones.
Also, Daredevil is not my fault. It was more Hannah's fault than mine.
Why was
Because
it my
the
fault?
last two times we tried to record,
Oh,
Hannah had to cancel for one reason or another. I'm not saying they weren't valid. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry.
And then after that,
And then Hawkeye.
then busyness struck. So maybe it wasn't Tyler's fault, but me and Hannah take the blame. We'll take the
Tyler
L
wasn't at fault here, I fear.
for once. Tyler's
Yes,
at fault for
once.
life though, so it's okay. The Runaways, child, I didn't watch that either, Leah. Wasn't that the one with the dog, like the bulldog in it? The Runaways.
No.
What was that? What was that one with the bulldog character?
Bulldog. What are you talking
It
about?
had a dog in there. Like one of the heroes is a
Is
dog.
it
That
is
it
it
starts with an I. It
yeah,
starts with an I.
I watched one Inhumans, you mean?
Inhumans. Yes. Is that
Okay, I was gonna
Inhumans with the
say
dog?
I never watched Inhumans. I watched one season of The Runaways.
Not Flaky Friday, Hannah.
I'm sorry. Um
She's usually okay. To her credit, Hannah's usually pretty good about our Marvel series. We've only had to reschedule a couple times on those because of Hannah being at her friend's house or some nonsense. But most of the time, Hannah's good for these Marvel series because we
okay.
record at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm a night owl.
We're
Okay.
up anyway.
So here's my ranking
Okay.
of everything, including Disney Plus shows and Netflix shows. So dead last is Iron Fist. They didn't get a single good season out of that show. After that is Luke Cage. Luke Cage got half of a good season. Everything else is not great. I love Mike Poulter in the role though; he's great. And then Hawkeye. We already covered Hawkeye. Then the Punisher above that. Punisher had an Punisher was just kind of boring than bad. I don't think Punisher ever got like bad, apart from like maybe like the end of season 2. But
Tell me why
Punisher
though.
was just kind of boring.
Tell me why I ain't never watched these series, but I know at least Punisher gave us a little bit of John Bernthal booty in one episode.
Yes.
That's all I
Yes.
know.
A lot of John Bernthal is on display in Punisher, which I appreciate. So, and then I'd go Falcon Winter Soldier, and then Defenders. I think the Matt stuff in Defenders is really fun, and I love Elektra, so I loved all of her stuff in that. Even though Defenders and it's 6 episodes, it's not like a huge commitment or anything. And then I'd go Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones at least had one excellent season. Season 2 and 3 are bad. And then WandaVision. We already went over that. Loki went over that, and then Daredevil.
Okay, look at Leo is shook.
Yes, because Defenders is less of a time commitment than Punisher. And Punisher is boring just all the way through. It's so frustrating because when we get to the Punisher stuff in Daredevil, Larry, it's insane how great it is. So for it not to translate over to his own show is frustrating. So yeah, that's where I stand on Defenders. Is underwhelming 100%, but
would you be disappointed if Elektra never comes into the MCU, or you're okay? Well, I guess that might be spoilers.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I can't tell you.
Yeah, never mind.
But I wouldn't expect her to ever come in the MCU. I'll say that.
So you think it's just going to be these two?
Who's these two?
Kingpin and Matt.
I think Foggy and Karen will probably.
Girl, Foggy is the dem for.
Leave Foggy alone. No, Larry never got to Nelson B. Murdoch in our reactions, and that's going to change his opinion of Foggy.
Foggy ain't coming back for no MCU role. They said, we cutting it right here. No, you can't bring the entourage. Only you come.
I'm
no
sick
plus
over
one.
Larry's Foggy hate.
Matt, there are no guests allowed. You hear me? Just you are invited to the party over here at the MCU.
Just Mr. Charlie Cox.
Yeah,
and Vincent D'Onofrio.
Well, he comes on. He got a separate invitation. They're not coming together. They coming separately to the party.
I think if they need a love interest for Matt, I think they're gonna do Echo. However it is that they, you know,
Hannah said,
find a
"One
way to
can't
do that. But
see and one can't hear. How does this relationship work?"
that because I don't know the extent of can Matt like sense what people are signing with their hands? Like I know that he can know how many fingers somebody is holding up, but like can that's where I'm like, I don't know if they're because I know that they have a relationship in the comic books. I just don't know how it's gonna translate on screen because the actress who plays Echo is nonverbal. So, and Matt is supposed to be blind, so she has to communicate with sign language, and Matt is blind. So, I don't
She
know.
could
We'll
she
see.
could do they could have, like, a little machine. She can, have, like, the
Echo
machine, like,
can
in,
read lips. I understand that, but
um
how is Matt gonna know
no, like,
what
in
she's
Sound of
saying?
Metal, like, the Sound of Metal thing where you can, like, type it in and it says out loud or something, or so she could, like,
They're
type
gonna
in,
communicate like that the entire series?
and then and then her voice comes out from it.
Okay, so Leo just said he can detect hand signs. I didn't
Okay.
know if he could for sure not. That's why I was like,
And obviously they can get away with that because he's not actually
yeah.
blind, so he can see, well, know what's going on.
It wasn't a
But
big deal or anything. I was just that's what my mind immediately went to, and I was like,
no,
I don't know if
she
they
is.
can
But
do this or not.
But all right, well, thank you all so much for joining us as we ranked the series. And more importantly, thank you everyone for watching the reactions from WandaVision all the way through to Hawkeye. The comments, the views, obviously, the likes have all been really supportive towards us and really fun. Even when you did not agree with some of our negative reactions to some episodes, but we definitely appreciate it, especially I would say, obviously, we talked about the community that was built, but those comment sections were lit during WandaVision and they were
Mhm.
a lot of fun to like talk to people through. So hopefully you'll come back. We plan to be back for those new 4 series. Obviously, you heard as an Oscar Isaac simp and Matt Murdock simp, we will be jumping in head first for She-Hulk.
Hopefully returning for Daredevil, Larry?
Hopefully returning for Daredevil soon. So while you're waiting to get your fix, check out Daredevil. If you're behind or you're just starting Daredevil yourself after No Way Home, check it out. We are 7 episodes in, so you can check out those first 7 episodes, and we hope to continue that. You can also hopefully catch Tyler and I moving forward with Game of Thrones. Hannah is been on a few of those as well, just randomly pops up for Game of Thrones.
I'm gonna have to come back for season
Oh,
8. I have to.
but I'm excited for that as well. Any other reactions? I don't really know. Wheel of Time I just did, which was a lot of fun, but that doesn't have anything to do with superhero shit. So, yeah, Hannah, do you want to let anybody who is watching know where they can find you?
Tana on Twitter. You can see me
Yay!
talk about Daredevil because that's all I've been talking about the past few weeks.
It's true. And if you enjoyed this live stream, click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, leave your rankings. How would you rank the 5 MCU Disney Plus shows from 2021? Either put those in the comment section down below, or you can hit either one of us up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.